Okay, so today is it there? Yeah, this is good.
Remove the paper.
No, it's okay. No, guys,
Do you want the monitor
No
on?
one is watching on the other side, so it's an idea. I want to get it going. But
Who do you want to send it to?
anyone should be on.
Okay. Oh man.
Okay, so this is the second class, so we're going to give a very short recap of the first class. Or maybe just let's turn on the air over there. So you can keep it hot. Thank you so much.
Do you want the monitor on as well? You could like turn off the screen if you want. You like seeing a mirror.
I think it's okay, please.
Yeah, it's better. We'll learn how to do it without wasting time. Okay, so so let's give it a short recap. You can put it up there. Thank you. So give a short recap of what we did yesterday, and then we'll move on. Basically, David gave a great recap, and the idea over here is like this. This week we're talking about the flood, and Chassidus tries to give.
But they're right behind us. I didn't know the class was here. We're walking around wondering the
Also,
class.
we're live right now.
Smell stuff. You're afraid of being in the thing? If anyone feels uncomfortable, we won't have it, okay?
No, I'm not afraid. I'm just here. I mean,
If I could be a little more in there, I wouldn't mind.
Like, I lean
What?
forward,
If I could be more in the video, I wouldn't mind.
like
What?
If I could be more in the video.
when I lean forward, like I'm in the video.
Exactly.
But
So let's learn Chassidus. So this week's Parsha, so this week's Parsha is all about the flood. What is the idea of a flood? We know one of the things that Chassidus teaches us that the Torah is the eternal Torah. It's not only some stories that happened back in the day, because if it would have just been stories, I'm sure that there were many more stories, right? We had it's the book of Genesis, the book of Bereshit spans over more than 2,000 years. Which stories did God choose to put into the Torah? The things that have an eternal message to us. So what is the message? Another thing that Chassidus believes that everything has a message in Avodas Hashem. Yeah, which Avodas Hashem is the deepest wisdom there is how a human connects to God. But over here, this Mayim, I would say, is a pretty practical one, because this Mayim is talking about great waters, and we all deal with great waters. But one of the things that Chassidus also likes to do is to bring certain proofs, not only proofs, to bring the word. I don't think the word will be proofs, but Chassidus wants to bring, let's call it proofs.
just context.
Yeah, but right, to show that the context is not just made up. Actually, we find in Shir HaShirim, the Song of Songs is the love poem between God and the Jewish people. And we find in Shir HaShirim, what do we find?
Contextual clues.
That one of the romantic lines over there is that the lover says to the beloved, great waters could not extinguish the love. So great waters cannot extinguish the love tells us that great waters is something that is trying to extinguish love. So the same idea going back from our Parsha, back to the Shir HaShirim, which is the love poem between God and the Jewish people, is we're dealing with great waters. So what are those great waters? So we said yesterday that the great waters, this refers to Tirdas HaParnasa, worries of Parnasa. And as we quoted in the name of the Rebbe says that the Alter Rebbe over here uses the word worries because the being involved in Parnasa is not a bad thing. The worry about it is that is what is really the culprit. But what is the idea? The idea is not only Parnasa, the idea is anything that is trying to flood you. It's called great waters. What does it mean trying to flood you? So this is a very important point that Chassidus always points out, not only over here, that we need to know who we are essentially. And flooding you is the part or the incidents that happen in your life, the circumstances that happen in your life that don't let you be your true self. And one of the greatest times, one of the best times to check if you're in touch with yourself or not is davening. Why? Because learning is in your head. Davening is in your heart. When we daven, or when we try to meditate even, what happens right away? We are flooded with all types of thoughts. And those types of thoughts don't let us be ourselves. That's why it says in Chassidus, Rebbe Rashab brings it in his book on a tract on prayer. He says we should try not to do anything before davening. Why? Because as it is, davening is very hard. And when you do things before davening, you get distracted. So if you go to the bank before davening, or you make a few phone calls or answer a few emails, everything we do, we invest a part of us in it. So a part of you left in the bank. A part of you left in the email. A part of you left in the... And that's why some people like to daven right away when they wake up in the morning. But Chassidus believes that you can enhance your davening also by learning more Chassidus before davening in order to help you be more of yourself, more connected to yourself, to the extent, let's say, the Polish Chassidim that they have, and then that they're into learning Gemara before davening. What's the point of learning Gemara before davening? So they say like this. That's an old Karlina saying. Elokim asa Adam Yashar. God created man straight. Rabim, and they bring upon themselves all types of distractions. When you learn a page of Gemara, that makes you straight. That gets you to be straight again. So even though it's not so simple to learn Gemara before davening, but they would do it in order to prepare for davening. So Chassidus Chabad is not so into learning Gemara before davening, more learning Chassidus before davening, because this actually gets you really straight in terms of you and your relationship with God. So we said anything in your life that is in the background, bombarding you and distracting you from being your true self, that's called great waters. And we said that if you don't have Tirdas HaParnasa, if you're not worried by Parnasa, we all have our things that are in the back of our mind distracting us. Some people are looking for a shidduch, that's constantly in the back of their mind, thinking, oh, what's going to be? Am I going to stay single for the rest of my life? Or people that are already married, they're waiting to have a kid. Or in general, I would suggest to use this timer for general traumas. Traumas are things that are constantly bombarding us in the back of our mind, telling us things about us. They don't let us go. And these are all different examples of great waters. What is meaning again, great waters? Great waters is anything that doesn't let you be yourself. And the Pasuk says, let's only do the entry again, and then we're going to go back into the Mayim Rabim. In the Torah Ohr, it's on page 16. Let's open up the Torah Ohr. And in the booklet, it's page number 1. Mayim Rabim, great waters, lo yichulu l'chabes lahava, cannot extinguish. Page number 1, the beginning of the book. Beginning. All the way in the beginning. Yeah. Guys, if it'll be so quiet, we'll have to stop the live stream.
We're just indulging your wisdom.
Mayim Rabim, great waters, lo yichlu l'chabes zahava, cannot extinguish the love, v'nohoris, and rivers, lo yishtafu, cannot flood it, and eat nishas kohen, b'esem b'ahava, boys yavuzu lo. A person that will give all the assets of their house for love, boys yavuzu lo, people will belittle him. I don't know. They're making some delicious food. Put in our ears.
So basically, so people give every bit of their house for love, and people belittle for it.
Even if a person will give all the assets of their house for love, people will belittle him. Good morning. Says the Alter Rebbe, Hine Mayim Rabim, the great waters, and Koltidus Apanosav Amachshav Shemin Yono Elam Haza. The great waters, these are all the worries of Parnasa and the thoughts of Yono Elam Haza. So we said that we're going to have a 3-step program over here, how to deal with the flood, how to deal with our internal flood. And what is the first level? The first level we already discussed yesterday. First level, says the Alter Rebbe, is actually found. What is the first level? Lev?
Passion and understanding.
Oh, very good.
Or ahava.
Okay, it didn't say love. Very, very nice. But okay, I love the way you said it. Lev says that it's compassion and understanding. But basically what it says over here, which is very, almost the same thing, so Lev took it to the next level. What it says over here is that the first step in the program is actually found in the pasuk itself. What does the pasuk say? Mayim Rabim lo yichlu l'chabes zahava, great waters cannot extinguish it. A way of dealing with great waters is by understanding that my essential connection is much greater. The example that we gave yesterday, in every relationship, so you're having an argument, you have a fight, happens. Yeah, you ever heard? Sometimes people fight.
Never in my life.
What?
No, I'm just joking.
No, I'm talking in a relationship.
Definitely in my life.
Okay. Never happens. Why should you fight? You chose to live together the rest of your life. Why? It doesn't make any sense. It's not a good feeling afterwards. Whoa. Okay, but sometimes we don't control ourselves, and there's some mishap, and maybe you weren't sensitive enough, or maybe the other person wasn't sensitive enough. And what they always say? What is the smartest thing to do? Is to point out right away in the beginning. You should know our love goes deeper than this. Our love is greater than this. What happened now is not going to touch our love. Our love is invincible. So the first step in the program is to understand, and we shouldn't skip. Guys, very important. We're going to have 3 steps over here, and we shouldn't skip steps. The first step in the program is to understand that our relationship is much greater and much deeper. And that's what we spoke about yesterday, that we need to know that our neshama was one with God before it came down to the world. And then it came down into the world. Over here, it's constantly being flooded. Again, what's the idea of being flooded? It doesn't, the world and the worries of this world don't let our souls be their true selves. But still, what do we need to know? No matter how many floods are going to come, no matter how many great waters are going to come, they cannot extinguish the love. Why can't they extinguish the love? Because that's our essential self. I quoted yesterday. I think it's pretty cool. So I'll say it again because some guys weren't here yesterday. That I once over here in Osishkin, there's a place where there's always some nice graffiti, where people like to write some poems and things like that. And once I saw like something that touched me. It said something to the extent that what a pity that you didn't realize that our connection and relationship goes much deeper than all the arguments between us. Again, I botched it up. It was much more poetic. But this is such a strong, powerful thing. And why does Lev call it compassion? Because that's the first thing that a therapist is going to do. A person comes to the therapist and starts saying, you know what? I went through this issue. I went through this issue. I've been going through so many hardships in life. What is the first thing that the therapist is going to do? Through compassion, connect to the person. One of the things that they go to say in the first meeting is, wow, after all this trauma, after all this abuse, you still have the strength to come and seek therapy and seek, like most people, from what you're describing, you should have been insane by now. Why do they say that? Because what we're trying to do is, when someone is drowning, what do you want to do? Where do you want to catch? The part that is not under the water. And what if you understand that you could touch, if there's still a part of that person that is not under the water, that's where you could grab him from and save him. Makes sense. So that was the first step. Guys, I see that everybody is quiet.
Yeah.
It's early.
Why is it because? No, it's because of the video.
No, I don't think it's
It's
maybe.
I'm basking you.
Oh,
I'm basking
basking.
your wisdom.
okay. No. It's not about me.
It's more of
It's the words of the Alter Rebbe. That was a very short recap of yesterday. David, right? Recap.
Yes.
Beautiful. Now, the second step in the program says the Alter Rebbe, what does Adrabah mean? Who knows what the word Adrabah means? Let's see the words of the Alter Rebbe. Adrabah. What does Adrabah mean? And quite on the contrary. Not only doesn't the great waters flood you, Al Yidei, Hislap Shusa, were 2 lines from the end of the first paragraph. Al Yidei, Hislap Shusa, Mayim Rabim Hanal, through its enclothing through the soul being enclosed in the body in the great waters over here. The first step was try to find the part of you that doesn't drown. The second part was going to be, how do we use this as a catalyst to grow? And as we're going to see, this by itself has 2 parts. In other words, when we have challenges in life, the first part is to stay sane. The second part is, how do I grow from this? Yeah, do you ever see surfers? Surfers go, it's exactly the things that drown normal people. Normal people, when a wave comes, the riptide comes, they're looking for riptides. Because if you know how to do it, not only don't you drown, it even lifts you. And that's going to be the point that Alter Rebbe is going to say over here. Today they got fresh ones.
No, this one looks better.
Oh, great.
That's
That's why I took
tiles.
this one. But
So the Alter Rebbe comes and says the fact that God didn't just kill all the people, He brought a flood. Water is purifying. So when you understand that water is purifying, you understand. And if we're going to compare all the worries and issues in our lives to water, the idea is not to drown you. The idea is to lift you. Just have to learn how to do it. But first, Alter Rebbe is going to use a few lines over here in the Mayim to prove to us this idea. But basically, the idea is based on common Hasidic knowledge. Let's call it that way. That everything in the world is for a positive reason. It's not just in order to punish, in order to destroy the world. God basically took the world to the mikvah. We're going to see over here in the Mayim that the world was so cleansed that even 3 tfachim of the world were washed away in the flood. Like a real good mikvah. Yeah, that's why. How many days? Who learned chitas yesterday? How many days was the mabul?
40 days, 40 nights.
40.
and also
What's the connection between 40 and mikvah?
it's the exact same
40
stuff
side.
you need, like, when you need the water, how much water you need.
Exactly. How much water do you need in the mikvah? The 40 saw. So the 40 days connected to 40 to the to the 40 saw of a mikvah.
What was the thing? 40 what?
Saw
Oh,
is
saw.
it's a
The
it's
unit
a,
of measurement.
it's a unit of measurement of liquid.
How much is this? Like,
Look it up.
yeah.
Google it. You don't have a Google.
Google here.
You could Google. Just open a new tab.
How much? Sorry if you can't see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, do halachic measurements, and over there's okay, beautiful. Vehine. So again, the first step. It's very, very important. I know that I said it before, but this is very, very important
A
to
spawn.
understand what.
You see a spawn, one spawn, it's 3 palms.
So that's a measurement of length. We're talking about liquid.
32.
So
As 7,700 centimeters cubed. Okay. I don't know how to compare that to something like tangible.
no, go to the bottom.
No, this. Oh, you can't see it. No, it's here.
No, but over there on the bottom, there's how to transfer. Okay.
But stop. That's.
Well, you have it.
Yeah, that's it.
For me, a sale is
Oh, and
432 eggs.
eggs.
So again, that's what the Gemara says. We want to know how to convert it to nowadays. Okay, but that's how much rainwater you have to have in the mikveh. Yeah, but nowadays we don't dunk in the rainwater. There's a rainwater reservoir next to the mikveh, and there's a hole connecting the two.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Let's not go into the laws of mikveh now, but let's go into what we do know about how our lives are so often flooded with things that don't let us be ourselves, and therefore we can't connect. Therefore we can't daven. That's why it's so much easier nowadays. It's so much easier to learn than to daven, because davening you need to be yourself. Learning, you just learn the text, but davening you have to be present. And just like any relationship in the world, you can't connect if you're not present. The same is also in davening. But let's see what the Alter Rebbe says about the Mayim Rabim. So again, for the first step, what the Alter Rebbe used, the Mayim Rabim lo yichlu l'chavas sahava, great waters cannot extinguish them. Now we're not talking about not extinguishing. Now we're going to talk about how to grow from our pain and suffering, how to grow from our trials and tribulations. So let's see insight. Yeah, we're on page 16 in Torah Ohr, in the booklet, page number 1, the second chapter. Yeah, this is not a skill-based class. This is not a text-based class. We're just using this as an anchor. Yeah, in Isaiah 54, how does it call the flood? May Noach. What does God say in Isaiah 54? Asher nishbati, what I have sworn, me avoir me Noach oida la'oretz, from having the waters of Noach again on the earth. What is the simple meaning? If I would ask you, what is the simple meaning of the word me Noach?
Flood.
Obviously, we're talking about the Bible because that's the only thing that we have recorded. God saying that these waters will not come again on the earth. But what does it mean, the waters of Noach? So the simple meaning is the waters of. Wow. That's already a deeper meaning. What is the simple meaning? The waters of Noach. Yeah. But how's the waters Noach's waters? So this is a topic that is already discussed in previous commentaries in the Talmud. That what is the meaning of the waters of Noach? The waters of Noach it's called his waters because he didn't do Mitzrayim. God tells him that in 120 years, if the people are not going to do tshuva, he would
Destroy the earth.
He would destroy the earth. And what does he do? He starts building a teva instead of starting a program of getting people to do tshuva. Yeah, people came to him and asked him, "Why do you build a teva?" So he said, "You build a teva because you're acting like idiots, right?" This week, this Shabbos happens to be the yahrzeit of my father's father. and he always, his whole life, like towards the end of his life, he was a person, a Holocaust survivor. Two of his kids were killed in the Holocaust. It was a very, very special Jew, and he always used to quote that Noah. It's called the waters of Noach because he didn't daven for the people of his generation, and therefore he believed that it should be added in the prayers, especially in our generation that so many Jews have left the fold and don't know about Judaism. So he actually printed, like he spent a big part of his money to print prayers, simply to pray that that Jews should do tshuva. Okay, in Lubavitch, we're going one step further, and we actually tried to get people to put on tefillin and to learn more about their Judaism and so on and so forth. But that's one of the reasons why it's called Mayanot. But comes Moshe, and Moshe says over here something much deeper. What does the word Noach mean? Noach means calmness, peace. We see that the flood is called waters of peace. So imagine you coming and sharing the deepest trauma of your life, and someone comes and says, "Wow, that's so peaceful." How would that feel? And the answer is,
Slap in the face.
oh, slap in the face only if you don't have enough experience in life. Because I think that everyone over here will tell you that if you overcame a trauma, if you overcame an issue in your life, no one wants to go through pain and suffering. Yeah, the famous saying of the Friedrich Rebbe said after what he went through, he said, if you would give me all the money in the world, I wouldn't agree to go through what I went through. But now that I went through it, I wouldn't sell it for all the money in the world. Why is that? Why is that? Before we don't want it, no way.
Makes you who you are.
Exactly. If you really overcame the pain and suffering, it makes you who you are. You could actually call it, and this is what we're going to discuss over here. You could actually call it waters of peace. Mayanot. Let's see inside. God says, just like I swore that the waters of Noach should not go again on the earth, should not come again on the earth. So too I swore from being angry with you and shouting at you. What is the meaning of the word Noach? Peace of the spirit. That's the idea of shvisa. Shvisa is resting. We're going to talk about the word shvisa in a second, just like a person that rests from his work. As the pasuk says, the pasuk says, and God rested on the seventh day. And what is the word in the Targum? What's the word in the translation? And he rested on the seventh day. But again, what do we see? We see that the word that is used is the word Noah. So what did we just do? I'm sorry for becoming so technical, but again, you have to put the mimer into historic context. Alter Rebbe is talking over here in the first generation of Chabad Chassidus, and he wants to prove his wild ideas. So what is the Alter Rebbe? How's he going to prove it? He says, first of all, we see that Noach is called, the Mabul is called the waters of Noach. What does Noach mean?
Peace, calmness.
Peace. But what type of peace? Shabbos. Shabbos. Shvita. Shvita means resting. But over here comes something very interesting. The word Shabbos, or let's go even further. The word resting, in modern Hebrew, when do we use the word Shvita? Anyone knows when do we use the word Shvita in modern Hebrew?
I mean, usually just
So Shiftei
usually just as
That's
the word,
Lashevet.
right.
Yeah, but Shvita, the word Shvisa, the word that Alter Rebbe uses over here, modern Hebrew uses for a strike. A workers' strike is called Shvita. Yeah, or if the airports are closed, Shvita. What is the idea of that?
Taking a rest from work. You're going against work.
Oh,
You don't want to work.
in other words, there's two types of resting.
Hmm.
There's one type of resting where I'm an unemployed person. I just rest. I lie in bed. That's not the resting that we're talking about. What is Shabbos about? What is the word Shabbos? What does Shvita mean? You worked and you stopped working. Going on vacation. What's the idea of going on vacation? Do you ever think about it? Why do people go on vacation? What's the psychology of going on vacation? So if I say my job, if I hate my job, it makes sense. I go on vacation. But if I don't hate my job, why do I still go on vacation? What's the idea of Shabbos? What?
To rejuvenate, to go back.
Exactly. To rejuvenate. But how do we rejuvenate? Why do I need to rejuvenate? I love my job. I'm a teacher. The best job in the world. Living the dream.
Take a break.
Why do I need to take a break? Why do I need to take a break? What's the problem? Why? I love this. What do you think I'm going to do on vacation? I'm also going to read and learn. Why do I need a break? Why do I need to rejuvenate? And over here comes up. Yeah, what?
Yeah, go back to it better. That's the whole idea.
Go back to it better, but why and how?
When you step away, you can you process. You can.
Why?
reflect.
Why? And it's almost probably you're all trying to say the same thing. It's like annoying teachers like wanting to say the exact words that they're thinking in their brains. Yeah, but what is the idea? The idea is that no matter how much you love your job, it's not you. It's you being invested in something. You being invested in being a doctor. You being invested in being a lawyer. You being invested in being a teacher. It's not you. The reason why it rejuvenates, the reason why what you said, what did you say?
I don't remember.
You come back better. Yeah, okay, so I remember. So you come back better. Why do people have to go on vacation? Going on vacation means going back to my true self. That's the idea of Shabbos. By the way, this is a very important point. That's why Shabbos has to come after 6 days of work. Almost every time when God talks about Shabbos, what does it say? 6 days you should work, and the seventh day you should rest. To the extent that the Talmud says, if you're in the desert and you lost count of the days, what do you do? What do you do? You count 6 days, and the seventh day you rest. Why do we always have to have the 6 days? Because the idea of Shabbos is not just okay, I'm resting. That could be a lazy flow. Sitting in bed, what?
Connecting.
Yeah, but why do you need to work first? That's my question. My question because the idea of Shabbos, the words Shabbos is the same letters like Tashev, returning. It's returning where? It's returning. You are on a mission and you're returning. Have you realized in the Hasidic community, based on the Baal Shem Tov instituted, what is the first prayer that we say when we start Shabbos? Psalm 107. What is Psalm 107? Psalm 107 is about the four people that need to offer thanksgiving. Who are the four people that have to offer thanksgiving? People that survived illness, people that came out of prison, people that went through the ocean, or people that went through the desert. Why did the Baal Shem Tov institute to say Psalm 107 the beginning of every Shabbos? Because that's exactly what Shabbos is. Shabbos is returning after having a turbulent week. After being in the stormy waters, you hit an oasis of where you could be again yourself. And by the way, the fact that the Baal Shem Tov instituted that everybody should say it 107, that's something that we have to inculcate into our brains. Sometimes people don't get it. People, Shabbos, oh, what is Shabbos? Shabbos, I don't use my phone. Which, by the way, this word by itself is a great anti-addiction. Like one day a week, like you really could. Some people say at the beginning of Shabbos they feel withdrawals, like for an hour or so, and then suddenly, wow, they could open a book, they could read. We're so addicted to our phones. But again, what's the problem with addiction? What's the problem with addiction? The problem with addictions is it doesn't let you be present.
Right.
And the whole idea of Shabbos is returning,
Present.
being present. So when we're talking about Naicha de Rucha, when we're talking about peace of the spirit, we're using the word Noach. Noach is a translation of the Hebrew word
Comfort?
Shabbos.
Oh, Shabbos.
Shvita. It is comfort. But what type of comfort? Comfort of returning to my essential self. I started saying this, but this is something very, very important. Sometimes Bachrim, they work so hard during the week, and then Shabbos, they just sleep in. Shabbos, we all return to our essential self. So for some people, if their essence is depression, so the Shabbos, they sleep the whole Shabbos. But people that people that their essence is connection. So it's a time that you invest more in your family. You make sure that your Shabbos tables have not with pressure, but you make sure that the Shabbos table is a time where everybody could express themselves. You share a story, you share an idea. Again, with no pressure. Sometimes in certain families, the father wants to say something and everybody has to be quiet and sit like soldiers. Oh, why don't you listen? No, it's okay. It's okay. But you ask your kids, what is the most interesting thing that you learned this week? Shabbos is a day. Shabbos, to a certain extent, that's the focal point of Jewish life. You have to make Shabbos meaningful. Make Shabbos meaningful. That's when you go back. That's why the Baal Shem Tov instituted again. Who am I to explain why the Baal Shem Tov did it? But that's where for Jews that are connected to the internal part of Torah, like from Thursday night, Chassidim used to prepare for Shabbos. Thursday night, there's either a farbrengen or people would stay up a bit later learning. Some people learn the whole night. By the way, this is not only that's not only Chassidim. Also, the Litvish yeshivas, they stay awake the whole night and learn. Thursday night is the beginning of preparing for Shabbos. Then before Shabbos, you go to the mikveh to purify yourself. Then Shabbos starts. If you're a chassid, you say it's chapter 107, where the Baal Shem Tov instituted. You experience returning. What we're trying to explain over here in the Mayim is how you could do it with all your traumas. How you could use your traumas, how you could use your worries in order to get you to that place of returning to yourself. Because ultimately, all these worries and all these problems are ultimately trying to do exactly the opposite. What are they trying to do? They're trying to flood you. They're trying to separate you from being your true self. But we see in Isaiah 54, what do we see? That God calls it Mayanot. Let's see inside. Masha Kosev Noach based upon him. In the beginning of our weekly parsha, we say Noach twice. That's the peace above, the resting of above, and the resting of below. It's connected to the idea of the lower Shabbos and the higher Shabbos that is going to be in the world to come. Shabbos, the world to come, is called the day that is completely Shabbos. It's very interesting that in modern life, it's also like that. The whole week, your whole life, you work, and then Shabbos you rest, and then you retire. Yeah, the Rebbe wasn't into retiring, so I had to plug that in. The Rebbe felt that for most people, if they stop working, what do they feel they're not doing anything in their lives? But the way the world is set up, people rest every end of the week, and then also the end of their lives. They're like one big Shabbos. Yeah, the same is also with the world. The world is revolving around Shabbos. Every week there's a Shabbos. Every 7 years there's a Shabbos. Every 7 times 7 there's a Jubilee. And where are we going? To the days of Mashiach, when it's going to be a day that is going to be completely Shabbos. The world is going to retire. The world is going to finally already figure out that there's nothing but God, and the world will be able to rest in peace. No, rest in peace is, I'm sorry, it's dead. Yeah, oh,
Rest in comfort.
Yeah, rest in comfort. Retire.
The resting comfort.
Yeah, be comfortable. Be comfortable. Be ourselves. So Hine says the Alter Rebbe, Hine l'choira. Any movement is not understood in the Mabel, the cats of the Mabel. If it was only in order to kill and destroy the sinners, why do we need such a big commotion? 1 minute, God could have killed them. Also without the flood. It says so it's the reason why the Mabel came to this world was to purify the land. As the pasuk says, as it says, the world was filled with Hamas, right? Yeah. What does Hamas means? Robbery. But the world became very corrupted, and the world needed purification. And that's why we're in the beginning of the second column. And that's the reason why God brought the Mabul. That is the concept of water in order to purify the impure. That is similar to a mikveh of 40 sa, that it purifies the impure. The same, the Mabul came to purify the whole world. The As it says in Ezekiel 36, God says, I'll spray pure waters on you and you'll become pure. And so that's the idea of the Mabul, that the Eibishter took the world a trip to the mikvah. That's why it's called the comforting waters. The Mabul brought about comfort to the world. I want to point out something very, very important. Yeah, and to a certain extent, this is a common theme in Chassidus over and over again. How do you think the mikvah works? What is, or even better, what does it mean to be impure? What does it mean to be impure?
Be disconnected from your realized holiness.
Exactly. Being impure means to be disconnected from your true self. What does going to the mikveh mean? What does it mean to dunk in water? Unfortunately, now, in the middle of this terrible war after the tragedy that we had, Simchas Torah, I read that one of the pathologists that had to deal over there with the people, on the way home, he just stopped by the beach and dunked in the water. He said he couldn't deal with it. He had to purify himself. So what is the idea of the mikveh? The word tvilah, says Chassidus, is the same words like habitul, nullification. What does nullification mean? One of the biggest mistakes that people think that nullification means that you're nobody. The opposite. Bittul means you become your true self and you nullify all the things that are attached to you, all the things that came on you, all the things that are superimposed on you. So what does it mean going to the mikveh? Going to the mikveh is dunking in the water. It's like going back to your state of being an embryo, where you're surrounded with water in your mother's womb.
I wonder why people, when you've done something that you disliked, a lot of people get the sense I need to go to a shower. I need to rinse myself. This thing, like.
It's almost like a reset.
Yeah, it's like people feel like, oh, I did something. I feel bad for doing this thing. I just need a shower. I need to clean myself.
It's very common. Like people shower like they don't pay attention clean, like just it not just cleans your body, but they cleans off your whole day.
Yeah,
Exactly. So ritually, spiritually, what does it mean to be impure? Being impure is losing touch with your true self. Going to the mikveh, going to water. Water is source of life, where I go back to being my true self. That's the idea of going into a body of water. Also, one of the things that Chassidus is so into, like going to the mikveh pretty often.
So simply you're in the mikveh, you're washing up any sort of thing that can get in the way between you and Hashem.
Exactly. But again, you could look at it, oh, there's things between me and Hashem, and I'm washing it off. Or you could say, there are things that are
keeping me from your true self.
Exactly, keeping me from my true self. My true self is being one with Hashem.
Right.
That's the idea of.
It's like it's like Bahado, it's like taking a shower. It's like you truly feel you're a clean person when you shower to do so.
Exactly. But in Judaism, it's about going to a source of water, rainwater, water that wasn't in a vessel. And the best mikvah, by the way, is really
The water. See.
no,
No?
the sea is not the best. The best mikvah in Judaism is, and that's only for men with gonorrhea. They need that mikvah.
Spring.
Spring water.
Uh-huh.
Spring is it's called living water.
Mm.
Because again, in Judaism, anything to do with death is impure, and anything to do with life, that's why God is called the living God. Deuteronomy 1. You, those that are clean upon God, are alive today. So in Judaism, anything to do with death, the menstrual period, is connected to death. That brings impurity. Every time going to the bathroom, anytime we excrete everything from our body, that means that it's not alive anymore. It came out of a living being. Going to a cemetery, death needs cleansing. Obviously dead people. I didn't even talk about dead people. That brings impurity. Cutting nails. What happened? A part of you that was alive, even though very, very minor life the nail has. That's why it doesn't hurt when you cut it off. But when you cut off nails or hair, you have to wash your hands. Why? Because you're disconnected from life. Something was disconnected from life. Anything. Kabbalists used to go to the mikveh after getting angry.
Disconnect from yourself.
Why? Because it says in Kabbalah that when a person gets angry, yeah. Moshe, what happens? You're in spots. What happens? You know what the Kabbalists say? What happens when a person becomes angry? They lose their soul.
Blackout.
They lose their soul, which, how would you translate it in modern psychological terms?
Lose yourself.
You lose yourself, and you get a lower soul. It says Kabbalah that you lose your soul and you get a lower soul. That's why they would run to the mikveh right away in order to be able to get, when they get a new soul, shouldn't get a very low soul, should get a high soul.
That's why I always contemplate so much after being angry. Like, how could I even react to this one?
You can think about it.
Exactly, because when you're angry, you're not even yourself.
Yeah.
You disconnect from yourself.
This is like the whole thing is like when you're angry or you reach a certain like threshold of anger, you can't sustain that for like for a long time. You eventually revert back to something else.
Or people that disconnect from themselves constantly. They just, that's what addictions are. Addictions is disconnecting from yourself. So depression is also a type of death. That's why spiritually depression is the worst thing possible. That's why you can't be connected to holiness only through simcha, through life. But that's the idea of mikvah. The idea of mikvah is going back to your true self. And to a certain extent, I don't want to go over time, we'll start a bit late until we set this up. The red heifer. What is the red heifer? How does the red heifer purify? It says Chassidus, and I'm just going to say the one line, but this is a fascinating thing. How does the red heifer work? You take a red heifer represents a cow, which is very fat, very crass, and it's red, representing evil, sin, blood, and you burn it down to its essence. The ashes represent the essence. What is the message of the red heifer? The message of the red heifer is the problem is not the essence. The essence is always pure. So you take a red heifer, you turn it into a cleansing agent. How? By burning it down to its essence. Because the message is, go back to the essence. You will find the source of purity. All the other things, the superimposed things, the things that are not essential, that is the source of disconnection. But at the source, everything is holy and pristine. Thank you very much. Have a beautiful day and a meaningful davening.
Thank you.
Now, how do we